Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about semiotic analysis. First, I will introduce our group member. There are Renaldi Wijaya, Rofifa Ramadhani, Muhammad Aldi Pratama, Elsa Putri Ramadina, Fauzi Rizalian, Maidah, Rido Adam Pratama, and Daniel Pranata Gunawan. For the opening, I will telling you about the history of semiotic analysis. It was defined by one of its founders, Ferdinand de Saussure, as the study of the life of science within society. Although the word was used in this sense in the 17th century by the English philosopher John Locke, the idea of semiotic as an interdisciplinary field of study emerged only in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with the independent work of Saussure and of the American philosopher Charles Sanders Peirce.
Okay, so I'm going to continue the presentation that was left by Rofifa. This is still talking about the history, and we are now talking about Ferdinand de Saussure. Ferdinand de Saussure, born November 26, 1857, at Geneva, Switzerland, died February 22, 1913, Vauvelens-le-Château. Ferdinand de Saussure was a Swiss linguist whose ideas on structure in language laid the foundation for much of the approach to and progress of the linguistic sciences in the 20th century. While still a student, Saussure established his reputation with a brilliant contribution to comparative linguistics. Mémoire sur les systèmes primitifs des voyelles dans les langues Indo-Européennes, 1878, Memoir on the Original System of Vowels in the Indo-European Languages. The next one we are going to talk about Charles Sanders Peirce. Peirce's sign theory or semiotic is an account of signification, representation, reference, and meaning. Although sign theories have a long history, Peirce's accounts are distinctive and innovative for their breadth and complexity and for capturing the importance of interpretation to signification. For Peirce, developing a thoroughgoing theory of science was a central philosophical and intellectual preoccupation.
Definition and character. Definition of semiotics. Semiotics is the study of signs. Semiotics is taken from the Greek word semeion, which means sign. A sign is something that represents something. Metaphor. The process of representing it occurs when the sign is interpreted in relation to what it represents. It can be a form or a color in the artwork. This process is called semiosis. Semiosis is a process in which a sign serves as a representative of what it marks. The focus in the study of semiotics here is semiosis itself, which is a process that combines entities called representation of the represented entities called objects. Definition of sign. Sign is something that for someone means something else, or something that represents something other than something itself, such as a metaphor. Everything that can be seen, observed, or can be made observable can be called a sign. Something in question can be in the form of ideas, thoughts, experiences, something experienced, or feelings. The sign is not limited to objects.
Icon, symbol, and index. Signs are divided into three categories. The first one, icon. Icon is a sign that resembles even physically what they represent. Sign as an icon has a simple meaning to communicate. So it is represented by a picture. Portrait painting that resembles a person is an icon of the person. The second one, symbol. Symbol is a sign that represents something based on agreements, whether intentionally or unintentionally. For example, Gedung Sate represents Bandung. The third one, index. Index is a sign that represents something based on contiguity, which is usually formed from experiences. For example, gray clouds, a sign of impending rain. Okay, next, semiotics branch. According to Charles Morris, a philosopher who participated in the science of science, divided semiotics into three branches of research. Number one, syntax. Syntax is a branch of semiotics that examines the formal relationship between one sign and another, because these formal relations are rules that control derivation and interpretation. Number two, semantic. Semantics is a semiotic investigation that studies the relationship between signs and the designate or objects they refer to. And the last one, pragmatic. Pragmatics is a branch of semiotic inquiry that examines the relationship between sign and interpreters or their user. Pragmatics specifically deals with aspects of communication, especially the situational functions that underlie speech.
Semiotics allows for the identification of emerging trends and to build empathy of different segments of the community. While non-authorized cryptotech may be viewed as a disgraceful and inexcusable abuse of public property, another may view it as a welcome representation of nonconformity and rebellion. While a well-organized and clean city may indicate safety for some, it may indicate boring, risk-averse, and unnaturally controlled to others. Language, cultural background, socioeconomics, and other factors influence how people read the signs that surround us. For example, a workplace of neighborhood may voice the intention to be seen as vibrant and evolving. Yet, an abundance of no smoking warning signs, excessive clean and order, and linear design might communicate quite the opposite.
Relation theory and literature about semiotic analysis. Semiotics has experienced a great rise in interest since the 1990s, primarily through its application in the interpretation of literary texts and, by extension, culture. The role of semiotics in literature is to establish key theoretical models that can provide insight so that the connection of the text to broader meaning structures within literary practices can be concerned primarily with the relationship between signs and with the manner in which they produce meaning within a given text or discourse. It takes a more wide-reaching approach and is of greater practical use. Martin and Ringham, 2000, page 1 till 2.
References. There are textual signs. Intertextuality references. There are textual signs. Intertextuality is a type of subtitle communication in that what we write or say often is recollecting something shared between us. Example, if you mimic James Earl Jones' deep baritone saying "Look," you can transmit a raft of Star Wars image and sound and meanings. Nonverbal communication. Many ways that we communicate with one another are nonverbal. A smirk, a roll of the eyes, a wave of the hand, these and thousands of other subtle and unsubtle body language memes communicate information to another person. Vocalis is a type of nonverbal communication embedded into speech. The pitch, tone, rate, volume, and timbre of spoken language communicate additional information about the underlying meaning of a group of words. Writing. William Shakespeare's and Lewis Carroll's writings are full of puns and cultural references, some of which, sadly, are no longer meaningful to modern speakers. The master of intertextuality was the Irish writer James Joyce, whose books such as Ulysses are so dense with snippets of different and invented languages and cultural references that the modern readers need hypertext to get them all. Stephen closed his eyes to hear his boot crush cracking wreck and shells. You are walking through it how some sphere. I am, I stride at a time, a very short space of time through very short times of space. 5, 6. The Neichananda, exactly, and that is ineluctable modality of the audible.
Reference. Icon is signs that have similarity, even physically resembling something they represent. Three types of signifiers. Female and male toilet sign at the toilet entrance. Sign for excavation officers on the roadside. Portrait painting that resembles a person. Index is a sign that has cause, effect, relationship with what it represents, or is also called a sign as evidence. A sign that have similarity, even physically, resembling something they represent. Three types of signifiers. Smoke is an index of fire, dark clouds are an index of rain, and a footprint is an index of a foot. Symbol is a sign that represents something based on convention, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Three types of signifiers. Rose symbols as a symbol of love, numbers and alphabet, doves as a symbol of blessing, and Christianity as a symbol of the Holy Spirit. And that's all from us. Thank you for listening, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.